So if you are familiar with the New York Times, this is, as I said before, 36 hours feature, which is really handy if you're going to a city like, I don't know, Paris, Rome,
it's a
wherever.
Great feature.
Yeah, and you have only a day and a half, what to do, where to go. Montreal is the latest city that gets that treatment. Danial Adkinson, he's an editor at the New York Times travel section, is on the line right now. Daniel, thanks for being with us today. So I have a couple of questions right off the top. Where are you from originally, and was this your first time in Montreal?
No, he's been here a dozen times.
Oh, well, then I won't ask that question. So, Daniel, in having been here a dozen times, do you feel you have a pretty good handle of what there is to do and see here in the city?
Well, first of all, bonjour, hi.
Merci beaucoup.
I'm honored to be on your show. I've been to Montreal nearly a dozen times since 2004, and I feel like I have a decent handle on things to do, but of course, every time I go, there's always something new that I'm learning about, which is one of the wonderful things about Montreal.
Okay. Well, let's start with, 36 hours is not a lot of time to see, a whole lot in a big city, and this is a fairly big city.
Yeah, where do you start?
Yeah, where do you start? What are the recommendations?
Well, it's an interesting thing because hardly anyone actually ever goes to a city for 36 hours. So the first thing I want to say is the choices I've made for the places to visit are not the best. This is not a list of the best places. It's a list of places that follow an itinerary that someone can go to during a theoretical visit for 36 hours to a place. Now, in reality, I go to the place, or whoever does it goes for maybe 3 days or 4 days, and then we compress that and we decide, okay, here's an itinerary that if a person wanted to do this, that person could do that in 36 hours, or a person could just look at that feature and then pick something from that when they visit a city and say, hey, I'd like to do that thing. I'd like to go to a museum that was recommended or a restaurant that was recommended. So it really has a dual function. When I went to choose those things, one is that they have to follow a logical itinerary. If I send someone to Mile End for dinner, I can't recommend a breakfast place nearby because it doesn't work. Second, there's a seasonal question. I came up this time to visit around Labor Day weekend, and I knew that it probably wasn't going to run until the fall, so that made it a little difficult in terms of recommending things that people could do at the end of the summer that they could also do in the fall with the change of seasons. And then, the third thing is we live in a world where we have the internet, and we've done 36 hours in Montreal before, so I had to try to come up with some new ideas that weren't already done because somebody could search Montreal on our website and see that we'd recommended certain things to do in the past.
Right.
Wasn't that way with the paper where you might have to go through old papers to see what we'd written about in the past. I had to try to come up with some things that we hadn't recommended before.
What was your most pleasant surprise, if you will, then? Because if you're not choosing the best places, there's got to be something specific like that appeals to you or that piqued your curiosity.
Well, I did recommend a number of things that I've done before. But, I feel like every time I go, I find some new thing. So, one thing that's very interesting is I normally come to Montreal in the early summer when the lilacs are blooming, and there are lilacs everywhere, as I'm sure you know. But this time when I went to Montreal and I was walking through Little Burgundy and that area, there were no lilacs. It's too late in the season, but it was cosmos everywhere. And I thought, wow, it's just so beautiful this time of year, so different, but also so special. So that was one thing I really noticed.
We have to ask you, what are cosmos? Are those little white flowers that are everywhere?
No, they're little pink, sometimes pink and orange flowers. I don't know what the word is.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm thinking there's Greek
they're
restaurants
everywhere right now.
Okay.
They're everywhere around Labor Day weekend.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
I know
never
what
really
ones you're
noticed
talking
that.
about.
Go ahead.
That's true.
Okay.
I also was really, I wasn't able to write about these things because of the season question, but one thing that I really loved this year that we discovered was a place called Entrepôt 77 in Mile End. It's the location of the old Mile End Railway Depot, and it's been turned into sort of an impromptu performance venue for concerts and shows and comedy. And it was really special, but the problem is the season ended October 1st, and I wasn't able to include it.
Okay. Now, I would also, go ahead.
I also walked by the large community garden in Little Burgundy, and I was really just blown away by how beautiful it was. I wasn't able to go in, but I just thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah, those are all over the place.
I wanted to ask a dumb question because every time someone comes to Montreal, the food question obviously invariably comes up. So when you come here, you look for different places, new places to eat. What do you do?
I think a mixture of both. I mean, I'm trying to give recommendations that include someone who's maybe their first time in Montreal, as well as someone who maybe has been there as many times as I have. So I try to look for some new places, but I also want to include some old standards, because people coming there for the first time might want to go and have something that everyone sort of already knows about. Go to like a Schwartz's, of course, or go and have poutine or something. So I try to include something like that. Going back to the question of how much we've covered things in the past, I ended up including the Snowden Deli instead of Schwartz's, because we've written about Schwartz's so many times. Right. I wanted to give a little love to someone else and give someone some more options.
Well, that's nice to know. Okay.
Yeah, I wondered about that one specifically because, and everyone is going to say Schwartz's, but not everyone's going to say Snowden Deli. And it's not the most interesting part of town, but it's very, very authentic, if you will. People are going to be mad at me.
Very delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so delicious. That's
and lots of different choices. So
I used to love the Maine. I know there's a large debate about smoked meat. I used to love the Maine. I loved the caricatures, and I loved how you could have your own booth there when you were enjoying your smoked meat sandwich and everything. But alas, it closed, so I was a little heartbroken to find that out this time. I've been there a number of times when I visited, and it was a little sad to see that.
Daniel, we have like 30 seconds left. I mean, in a nutshell, for people, not here because obviously we're in Montreal.
No, but listen, we're finding out about places to try out here, too.
What would be the one thing, if you could pick one thing, that you'd tell people absolutely don't miss when you come here?
I would say I love everything in Mile End. I think it's sort of off the beaten path for most people who are around Centre-Ville in that area. When you go up there, I think you just walk down the Boulevard Saint-Laurent, and everywhere is such a great surprise. I just think it's such a neat place to walk around and experience like everything there is, and poke your head into a new place and discover something new.
Well, I love that you keep coming back, so we must be doing something right. Thank you for your time.
I will keep coming back. Thank you so much.
There you go. That's a pretty good A from Montreal on a report
Danial
card.
Adkinson, an editor for the New York Times travel section.
You can find that whole article, by the way, if you Google the New York Times travel section.
Out.
It's there.
Some cool spots.
Nice tip of the hat to the Snowden Deli.